underscore fill, empty underscore fill you have, empty underscore fill. Now I want to go here, F1 button, graphics.h. First I want to go for control F1, graphics.h. Now here graphics.h only you want to enter, graphics.h. You see that 1 minute, graphics.h. Within the graphics.h only you have different styles. Fill patterns, get fill pattern is there, fill ellipse will be there. Here different type of fill patterns. You want to adjust of the different type of fills, you can use. Empty underscore fill is there. You see that get fill patterns. If I enter these, you have get fill patterns are there. User defined patterns, our entered patterns, many patterns. Set fill patterns, different type of patterns you have. Based on our request, you want to get off that patterns. Max color also you can apply, get max color, color also you can fill. Now you see, now I want to go for one more graphics program. You see that one more graphics program I want to discuss. I discussed already rectangle, line and 3D bar. Now I want to pick one more graphic program I want to discuss. I want to print the arc shape. Arc shape I want to print. It's a half circle. Generally what is meant by arc shape, you want to make it as half circle, like this is arc shape you want to print. Either top or bottom you want to print that arc shape to be print. How to print off that value here, arc shape to be print. How it is working of that arc. Graphics.h, stdio.h, conio.h, std library.h. Now here there is no void main, int main return type. G driver is a variable, detect is a macro, automatically detect your graphics driver. Mid x point, mid y, it's a integer. Starting angle value 45 directly giving, ending angle value 135 directly giving, radius value 100. Actually arc means 5 arguments required: starting angle, ending angle, radius. INIT graph, address of graphics driver, address of the graphics mod, and it's a BGI file path. Your program is saved which location? Same location BGI file available, EGA_VGI.BGI. Mid x equal to get maximum x divided by 2. Similarly, mid y equal to get maximum y divided by 2. I want to set the color function to be used. What is the reason of color function? To apply the color, screen color to be applied, get max color, which is the maximum color that I want to run. Arc, mid x, mid x, mid y. Mid x is get max x divided by 2 mid y. Starting angle 45, ending angle 135, 100 I have. After that radius, totally 5 arguments. Mid x value, mid y value, x coordinate, y coordinate, starting angle, ending angle, radius. Finally get ch to end of the graph. To end of the monitor now, close graph. Close graph means your graph will be released. It is convert to the command user interface. Return 0, successfully return. If I want to save this program, if I run this program now, check it. If I run this program, arc shape will be getting. Where I want to save? C drive, turbo C++ editor, disk turbo C3. Under bin location, I want to save the program. Graphic, here I want to use graphic4.c. I want to save the program graphic4.c. If I run this program now, arc shape will be getting. You want to get the arc. Arc is nothing but half circle, 5 coordinates required. Every arc of 5 coordinates. That is also arc is a predefined function. You see that when I compile, when I run this, you are getting arc shape. This is arc shape you are getting. Based on your points only, graphical points only, you are getting the arc. Now see, if suppose you see the function here, arc, mid x, mid y, starting angle, ending angle, and radius. 5 coordinates are there. Here actually 5 coordinates. Instead of these, directly I can use direct values. Actually here I giving the variables. With variables only I define. Without variable also I can define that. Directly I can define the value. How to work off that directly? Arc. Here I used with the arc mid x value. Here I used a mid x value 200, mid y value 250, and starting angle value 60, ending angle value 150, and radius value 100. 5 coordinates. Directly you can mention the 5 coordinates: x coordinate, y coordinate, starting angle, ending angle, and radius. If I compile it, here G driver, oh sorry, here I want to work off this I want to run, here INIT graph should be run. INIT graph is not as a comment line, that should be run, because I want to work with INIT graph. The remaining things I can make comment, directly I can enter the values. INIT graph should be there, initialize the graph. Now I want to end off this. You see that when I work off this now, when I compile and run this, you are getting arc. Previous arc is different coordinate position, this arc is different coordinate position. Based on our pixel points only you can define the arc. Arc will be defined. Arc function 5 coordinates require, 5 coordinates. Now see that which are the different type of the auto shapes I created here. Arc I created, and previous program I discussed 3D bar, 3-dimensional bar. Now for the 3D bar, how many arguments require? 6 arguments. Bar 3D, 6 arguments. One is for x1 coordinate, y1 coordinate, starting angle, ending value, ending angle, starting x radius, y radius. Now this is for x point, x coordinate, this is y coordinate, this is starting angle value, this is ending angle value. Now this is for x coordinate point, this is x radius, this is y radius. 6 arguments required. If I go for another function, I have check it. I want to print the rectangle. Rectangle means which is the rectangle function you have. Now for the rectangle function 4 arguments I have. Which are the 4 arguments I have? Left side, left x coordinate value x1, this is y1, and this is right side x2, this is y2. It's a rectangle shape coordinates. What is one more I discussed? Line. If I want to draw the line x1, y1, this is left, this is top, this is right, this is bottom, 4 coordinate for draw the line. If I want to go for a normal graph, generally graph means you can go for INIT graph function should be there, address of driver, address of mode, and every graph after execution of graph, close the graph. That means release the graph and it is converted to command user interface. Finally, what is my conclusion? Here I used different type of graphical programs. See that in this graphics header file, different type of graphical function how to use, that I discussed. But every graphical programs which is the header file to be used, graphics.h, author defined library. You have many different type of functions are there, but every graphics program to run, compulsory graphics driver should be installed. Automatically under TC BGI folder you have the driver, graphical adapter you have, EGA VGA.BGI adapter is there. Then only your screen will be converted to the which mode? Graphics mode. Every graphics program compulsory 3 function you have: INIT graph, initialization of graph, and one more is close graph, one more is detect, it's a macro detection of graph. I discussed a many list of graphical function, arc and the line, how to draw the bar, how to draw the 3D bar, how to draw the rectangle shape, how to draw the circle, how to draw the one more is you have that curve also there, arc also there. Okay, and the next session I can continue some more graphical programs. Today I want to stop that. In the next session I can continue some more graphical function. Thank you for this video. Hello students, welcome to the C language training program. Today I want to discuss with in C programming language which are the different naming notations you have. Which are the naming notations are there in C programming language. What is meant by naming notations? Which are the different type of definitions you have in the C programming language. While working of C programming language, which is the first naming notation you have? Variable. What is meant by variable? Every programming, if I want to store the value, variable to be created. Every variable is user defined. The variable is called as which can store the value in the memory. Which can store the value in the memory, which is user defined, which can variate the value. That is called as variable. What is one more type of naming notation you have? Array will be there. In C programming language you have the array. What is meant by array? Array called as one variable can store many type of elements. One variable can store many elements, but all elements should be similar type of elements. Array is nothing but collection of homogeneous elements or similar type of elements. What is the importance of array? One variable can keep many values. Instead of one variable, instead of many variables, you can create array and you keep the values. And one more advantage of array, all elements are stored continuous memory allocations. All elements are stored into continuous memory addresses. What is one more type of naming notation you have? That is called as function you have. Function. What is meant by function? Function called as it's a named block. Function is a named block. A self-contained block. Using one name, set of code can be compiled. Function called as named block. Using one name, set of code can be compiled. A function is a predefined process. Set of statements can be compiled with a single name, the name called as function. Every function you have three steps are there. Like already I discussed the user defined function, function declaration, function calling, function definition. Function declaration before main function to announce the function. Declare the function before main. If I want to call the function inside main to call the function. Once you are called the function now, to make a body of the function. What actually function does? That should be explained on function definition. Function definition after the main. Declaration part is before main, calling part is inside main, definition is after the main. What is one more type of naming notation you have? Structure is there. Structure also one more type of naming notation. What is meant by structure? Structure called as a collection of different type of elements. Array is nothing but collection of similar type of elements. Structure is nothing but collection of different type of elements. Structure also called as collection of heterogeneous elements. Heterogeneous called as different type. Homogeneous called as same type. What is one more type of naming notation you have? One more type of naming notation, union will be there. Union also called as collection of different type of elements. Union also indicates collection of different type of elements but with a single address. Structure collection of elements stored at a different address. Union collection of elements stored at a single address. Only one address you can store. Structure is a user defined data type. Union also user defined data type. What is one more type of naming notation you have? Pointer will be there. Pointer, it is also called as naming notation. What is meant by pointer? Pointer called as to find address of the variable or address of the value. In your compiler memory which can store the value address can be found out with the help of pointers. Using pointers only you can point out the address, value address or variable address. These are the most important naming notations in the C programming language. If you want to understand of the C programming data structures, if you want to learn the C programming data structures, before learning of data structure, the complete C language naming notations is very important. When you perfect of these naming notations, then only you can understand C language applications. Using C programming, which are the applications can be developed, those are developed based on the data structures. Now in the market, C programming projects related to the data structures. If you want to develop any C language projects, must and should you have to learn about data structures. The data structures are related these naming notations. Whenever you perfect of these naming notations, then you can understand data structure very easily, you can understand, and you can develop the apps with the help of C program. Now I want to discuss about briefly about these naming notations in the C programming language, which is already you learn, that I want to review of these notations. Now see that the first one is called as variable. Variable is nothing but which can store the value and which you can maintain the value. What is the definition of variable? It is a user defined word. Variable called as, it's a user defined word. Keyword is nothing but author defined. Variable is nothing but user defined, which can store the value, in memory. If I want to store the value in the memory, that is called as variable. It is a user defined word which can store the value in memory. That name is called as variable. Where you can store the value, that memory hole is called as variable. Every variable, when I define the variable, every variable to make some rules. If I want to make a variable, some rules to be followed. Variable naming rules. Variable name to make some rules. What are the rules you have for the variable name? Every variable name, what is the rule number 1? Every variable name minimum first letter starts with the alphabet. The variable name first letter starts with the alphabet or underscore. Either alphabet can start or underscore can start. Like you see some example, how to define the variable data type, integer, character, float, string. Variable name is x. Suppose my name is x. In this statement, x is a variable, int is a data type. X is our defined name, variable, int is a data type. Every variable name first letter starts with the alphabet or underscore. What is my variable name? I used x, SNO. In this name, first letter is alphabet. That rule to be followed. First letter cannot start the digits. First letter cannot start the special symbols. First letter must and should start the alphabet. Either underscore also allowed. What is the one more rule? Every variable name minimum, one character length, every variable name maximum 127 characters length. Minimum 1 character should be there, maximum 127 characters. Suppose example, int I want to create marks. Now this variable name length 5 letters. This length of variable name 5 letters. Single letter also allowed. Minimum 1 letter, maximum 127. What is one more rule of you have? Every variable name in between special symbols not allowed. Special symbols not allowed. What is mean by special symbol? Hash, space, dot, like that you have many special symbols, except underscore symbol is allowed, hyphen symbol also allowed. Underscore symbol is allowed, hyphen symbol also allowed. You see, suppose one example I used, int s underscore no, it is valid. Suppose if I used int s dot no, it is invalid because of its special symbol. Dot is a special symbol. Special symbol which are allowed, underscore is allowed, hyphen also allowed. Dot, space, hash, those are not allowed. That is a rule of one more variable rule. What is one more rule you have? Every variable name must be unique name. Must be unique name in declaration. While declaration of variable, the name should be unique name. You see some example, int x comma y. Now this is valid. X is a variable, y is a variable. Both are integers types. Both are different names. If I define int x comma x, it is invalid. It is shown the error because of both are same names. Every variable name must be unique name. There is no duplicate variables. Same variable again and again you can't declare in the declaration type. What is one more rule? Every variable name must be user defined word. Every variable name must be user defined word. Keywords as a variable name not allowed. Keywords as variable name not allowed. That is also error. Keyword as a variable. You see some example, int what is my variable name? Variable name is if. If is a keyword. Under C programming dictionary, if is a keyword. Keyword is nothing but author defined word. Author defined word cannot make as a variable. Author defined word. That should be our defined, any name. If I use F, it is valid. If I use I, that is valid. If I use if is a keyword, it is invalid. These are the rules to be followed for variable making rules. What is the definition of variable? Variable called as which can store the value in the memory. You can store the value in the compiler memory. Wherever store the value, the name called as variables. Variable names are user defined words. Every variable name to make a rule, what are the rules to be followed? Every variable name first letter starts with alphabet or underscore. Every variable name minimum 1 character length should be followed. Maximum 127 characters should be followed. Every variable name in between special symbols not allowed. Hash, underscore is allowed, hyphen is allowed. Every variable name must unique name in the declaration type. There is no duplicates. Every variable name must be user defined word. Keywords as a variable names not allowed. Keyword as a variables. This is a one naming discussion in the C programming language. That means what? Just now I discussed with variable discussion. Variable I completed. Mostly every C programming I used the variables. If I want to store any value, compulsory variable to be declared. If I want to store the student marks, integer variable. If I want to store the student names, character array, string to be stored. If you want to store the attendance, attendance is a variable, float type. If I want to store the double, long floats, every C programming variable compulsory to use, which can store the value. What is the reason of variables? In compiler memory where you store the value, the name is called as variables. But variables are user defined or author defined? User defined. Variables are strictly user defined, that is not author defined. Which words are author defined? Those are called as keywords. Those are not variables. Variables are user defined, keywords are author defined. Every variable, how many values can store? Single value. Once you declare the variable, you can store only single value. If I want to store the variable multiple values, one naming declaration, multiple values to be allowed. What is one more type of process you have? Array. Array is a naming notation. What is meant by array? One variable can store many values. If I created integer array, all elements are integers. If I created character array, all elements are characters. It's a string. If I store the float array, all elements are decimals. Store single value. Array can be stored multiple values. What are the types of array you have? Single dimensional array, two dimensional array. Single dimensional array called as one row or one column. Two dimensional array called as multiple rows, multiple columns. Two dimensional array also called as array of arrays. What is the drawback of array here? Once I define the size, you can't increase the size of array, you can't decrease the size of array. Array advantage, one variable can store many elements. But what is the drawback of array? Once I define the array size, you can't increase the size, you can't decrease the size. Array is a static memory data type. What is meant by static memory data type? Once I fix the size, design type, you can't allocate the memory at execution time, you can't allocate. That is the reason array is a static memory data type. The drawback of array, fixed size. One more drawback of array, one variable can store same type of elements. It cannot be stored different type of elements, same type of elements. Array, how to recognize? Square bracket. Which variable you have square bracket? The variable treated as arrays. If you have one square bracket, single dimensional array. If you have two square brackets, two dimensional array or multi-dimensional array. Single square bracket indicates single dimensional array. Two square brackets indicates two or multi-dimensional array. You see that now already I discussed and what is the definition for arrays. Just array definition and syntax. You see that what is next one more type of naming notation you have, array. Array is a collection of similar type of elements or homogeneous elements. Similar type of elements or homogeneous elements store multiple values. Store multiple values. Every array index value starts from 0 to size minus 1. If you want to read the array elements, how to read that array elements? First element started with 0 index, last element end with the size minus 1. Array is a fixed type of memory. Array is a fixed type of memory process. It's a fixed type. User cannot increase or decrease the size. And how to make, what are the array process? Array process is similar to matrices. Similar to matrices, you have to make of that arrays. Single dimensional matrix, two dimensional matrix, You see the syntax of array: data type, array name, square bracket. It indicates a single dimensional array, one square bracket, and you can enter the elements also. You can enter the elements. Within that you can mention the size. This is for size. What is one more type of array? Data type, array name, that is also array. Data type, array name, rs. Rs for row size, cs for column size. Rs for row size, cs for column size. Open the flower braces and mention the first row elements, comma. Again open the flower braces and you can mention the second row elements like this. Many rows. Based on our sizes, many rows. Based on our sizes. You see that one example how it is working of that array. One simple example. What is the syntax and example? Enter. I want to define marks. Marks is a array 4. In this statement, marks is a array name, 4 is a size. But these all marks are which type of marks? Integer marks, integers. I want to store the integer marks 100, 20, 50, 40. How to read off the first mark? Marks of 0. If I want to read the first mark in the array, marks of 0 index. If I want to read the last mark, marks of 3. Marks of 3. It's called as last mark, it will be read. If I want to go for 2-dimensional array, enter, I used marks. Here I used 2 students, each student 3 marks. Now this is 2-dimensional array. What is the meaning of that? 2 arrays or 2 rows. 2 arrays or 2 rows. Each array 3 elements, 3 marks. 2 students, 3 marks. Totally how many elements? 2 into 3, 6 elements. Now I want to enter the first student mark 45, 55, 65. Next I want to read the second student mark 35, 67, 89. Totally 6 elements. If I want to read the first student first mark, how to refer? I mean first row, first element 0, 0. First row, first element, how to read of that element? How to read that? 0, 1. First row, second element. If I want to read the first student third mark 0, 2. If I want to read the second student first mark, marks of 1, 0. Marks of 1, 0. Similarly, remaining also based on the index. This is now here this is single dimensional array, this is 2-dimensional array. But whenever I mention the size, if I mention the 4 elements only you can enter, 5th element cannot be entered because my size is fixed. If I enter 2 by 3 size, 6 elements only you can enter. You can't enter more than that, it is shown error. And one more is, suppose if I mention enter marks of 100. My array size is marks, integer type, 100 size. If I mention 100 size, if I mention the 100 size, you can enter 0 to 99 index. Suppose I enter 10, 20, 30. Only 3 elements I enter. Actual size 100, but I enter only 3 elements. What is the problem at that time? Memory wastages. Every mark integer 2 bytes memory allocated. Each integer 2 bytes. 100 means 100 into 2. 200 bytes. 200 bytes memory allocated. Within the 200 bytes, 6 bytes used. 6 bytes of memory used. Remaining bytes memory wastage. Remaining bytes allocation memory will be wastage. That is the problem of array. Now these are integer arrays. If I want to create character array, char, what is my name?